Hello everyone, welcome to another project analysis series. Today we are going to talk about Parktown Residences.
As today's video is going to be very lengthy, so do remember to toggle the timestamps right below the comment section, and that is where you can fast forward to the unit type which you are interested in hearing more about my views.
Where is Parktown Residences is actually an integrated development right in Tampines. In fact, I think this is going to be the blockbuster project of 2025. Of course, to me, most importantly for any project, whether it is a very highly sought after project or it is a not so popular project, especially today, all of these projects that we are running through is going to be GFA harmonized, meaning which the entry price that we are looking at is not the only thing that we want to look at. We also need to look at the per square foot, and there are actually a lot of other micro factors that we are going to run through today. So today is actually the eve of Chinese New Year and I'm actually rushing out this video for you. I've actually done quite a lot of groundwork for this project by itself, because if you are very familiar with this project, you know that there is 1,000 over units with many different facings and many different floor plans. I really have to research down to many other past projects and a lot of other unit types just to make sure that you get the most accurate first-hand information. So if you can, would you mind just help me to like and subscribe to my channel so that my content can reach out to more people and benefit more people. So without further ado, if you have not joined my community yet, do take some time to join my Telegram channel, because this is where you will be able to receive the most up-to-date news in terms of the bounce out units, in terms of property launches, or maybe sometimes I will actually voice out my opinions in my Telegram channel as well. So Parktown Residences is actually an integrated development that is set to launch very soon in February. One of the things that we probably have to take note is it is 1,193 units. The targeted TOP is around 2028. So integrated developments are actually very rare. In fact, in Singapore, there is only about 9 of such that has direct accessibility to the MRT and bus interchange. Moving on to the location map, this is Parktown Residences, which is highlighted in orange. As you can see, it is direct link to the MRT station. So by the map itself, you can already notice that this entire development is surrounded by BTOs. So from this perspective, it's already quite easy for us to see that today, if you're somebody who likes unblocked view, most possibly you won't be able to find it here because you're surrounded by HDB blocks over here. There is 2 empty land right here which is reserved for future high-rise development. So this is the site plan. From here you can see very clearly that actually there are many different blocks with many different unit types. If we want to categorize according to the different facings, right, it will be the first mainly will be HDB on the surrounding of the project. Next will be Park West, because you can see that the block-to-block distance is narrower as compared to Park East, which is right here. But however, actually the widest distance block-to-block is between here to here. So technically speaking, you can see that even for this stack 100, right, the block-to-block distance is actually considered one of the furthest. But yet, you won't be able to expect that you will enjoy an unblocked view. So what is actually an integrated development? An integrated development must have some few main components, and that is you have shopping mall below, and most importantly, you have the linkway and direct access to train and bus interchange. On the first story, you can see that mainly here is the bus interchange, and here will be the hawker center, and over here will be the community club. Here is the unit distribution chart for Parktown Residences, which actually comprise mainly from 1 plus study all the way to 5 bedrooms. There are a total of 1,193 units over here, but you can see based on the unit mix, the least amount of units here is actually the 5 bedroom, 1 plus study, as well as the 4 bedrooms. Technically speaking, the 2 bedrooms form actually quite a huge percentage of units out of the entire development. So when we talk about mixed development or integrated development, actually one of the most important thing that you have to look at is the size of the mall. Because every time, right, when we talk about, let's say for example, based on a few years ago that when Lentor Modern was launched, it was launched as an integrated development. and there was a lot of hype in it because integrated development ma. I feel that there is always a perspective that, oh, when we talk about integrated development, we immediately will associate it into a mega mall, for example, Jurong Point or Vivo City. So that's why one of the most important thing when you want to buy into an integrated development is to also find out the size of the mall, because this sometimes will affect you in terms of your profits. So when we are talking about size of mall, right, Parktown as a whole is actually 13,000 square meters in terms of retail space. Give you some perspective, there are some integrated developments here that I've put in to show you and give you some idea on how big the mall is going to be. So I feel that one very similar size development is actually Sengkang Grand Mall. So Sengkang Grand Mall, right upstairs you have Sengkang Grand Residences. And if you have been to the mall, you will roughly know that it is not a very huge mall. So the next one that is probably a bit more similar is also Bedok Mall. Right upstairs is Bedok Residences. Then we also have Woodleigh Mall, which is about 28,000 square meters. So if we want to compare these to the rest of the bigger shopping malls, like for example Vivo City, then actually it is not such a big mall as what you imagine. I think the next thing we want to actually look at, which is very, very important, is the price prediction, because there is a lot of mixture of numbers on the ground. Some people have actually told me that the expected launch is 2,600 per square foot, whereas there are also some who quoted 2,400 per square foot. So I think to give me a better gauge in terms of how I'm going to share the prices with you, right, I'm actually going to do up this in a way whereby I am gauging it based on my thinking. So I just want to do a quick disclaimer. Whatever that I said over here and predicted in terms of price does not represent, I do not represent the developer or represent my company. Whatever that I have talked about here is all based on my personal opinion and my personal thinking. Of course, why I want to share this is because I also want to give you the clarity in terms of how you should want to look at in terms of your purchase for Parktown Residence. If let's say the prices really come out very similarly to what I have mentioned here, at least you know that this is the price that you have already prepared. How do we actually want to do a price prediction for Parktown Residence? Because Parktown Residence is an integrated development which has gone through a GFA harmonization, right? To give you a better idea, I'm just going to show you what are the few projects that have run through this thing. So take for example, if now we were to go all the way to the Lentor area, there are quite a few projects which already been launched. Some is pre-harmonized, that means naturally the size of the units are going to be way bigger, and some is post-harmonized, which in this instance is Lentor Mansion.
I'm just going to take the smallest 3 bedrooms in the individual development to elaborate further. So Lentor Modern all the way up to Lentoria, you can see that their 3 bedrooms on average are relatively bigger as compared to Lentor Mansion's 3 bedroom, which is 786 square feet. Because of the huge disparity of size, the per square foot averagely transacted was very, very different. The pre-harmonized projects actually transacted an average per square foot of about 2,000 to 2,100 per square foot, whereas Lentor Mansion, because of its much smaller 3-bedroom unit at 786 square feet, this means that the average per square foot is 2,292 per square foot on average. But even though the per square foot prices is very high, but you can see that because of its size, the average pricing is actually transacting much lower than what the average 3 bedrooms of the pre-harmonized projects are going for. Next, I'm going to bring you to Mount Sinai area, whereby this project, Nava Grove, being a post-harmonized project, you can see that the smallest 3-bedroom is now 946 square feet. Just to give you a quick recap, right, the past launch, which was Ori, located in Toa Payoh, their smallest 3-bedroom was 850 square feet, and the starting price was about 2,500 per square foot. I reference it back to also Lentor Mansion, which is 786 square feet. The 3 bedrooms was also relatively much higher in terms of per square foot. You can see that Nava Grove, the developers actually built these 3 bedrooms much bigger, 947 square feet. Price for the 3 bedrooms here is so much lower in terms of per square foot at 2,357 per square foot. So this is actually so much lower than Ori's 2,500 per square foot, even though both projects are actually located in the RCR region. So from this, we can take away one thing, right? And that is, long gone are the days whereby developers actually price their units solely based on per square foot. In fact, now there are two main strategies that they will want to go for. The first one is either they build smaller units so as to maintain the quantum and keep the quantum attractive for buyers, but yet because of the much smaller units, the per square foot actually increase. A second strategy whereby developers build much bigger units and yet try to maintain the per square foot prices.
So based on these two strategies whereby the developers are going to adopt moving forward, right? For Parktown Residence, what is the developers actually planning to do? Here, I added in the unit mix. You can see that based on a 126 square feet as compared to previously whereby, take for example, the last launch Ori is 850 square feet. You can already see that actually this developer, which is ULL, they are going to adopt a different way of pricing their units, and that is to build bigger units. And in this case, even though the quantum might be higher, but the per square foot is going to be lower. How do we actually gauge the developer's pricing strategy? And that is by using one of their past projects as reference. In this case, Parktown Residence, one of the developer is actually UOL. So UOL actually developed one of these project, which is Botanic at Bali. If you look at this site plan and compare it to Parktown Residence, actually to me I feel that there's some sort of similarity in terms of how they can price these units. I'm going to use two main facings, which is very similar to what Parktown Residence have. Remember just now we are talking about road facing, which is facing the HDB, and second is the inner facing, which is pool facing. So out of these two facings is very similar to what Botanic at Bali also have. From here, you can see that there are three different stacks that I will be bringing up today. Two pool facing and then one road facing. Purchased at about the same time, and they are actually one pool facing versus road facing. The other is also in comparison to the lowest floor versus the highest floor. What am I actually talking about? So the first thing we want to look at is in terms of the premium in facing. When we want to do a price gauge of how developers are going to price Parktown is by studying the different prices, the different premium that they are going to mark out for the two different kind of facings. Which is why on the left, I'm putting a road facing units for low floor versus high floor, as well as for pool view facing units, which in this case is also second floor, $923,000, and 17th floor, $997,000. The road facing unit between level 2 to level 17, you can see that level 2 transacted at $887,000 and 17th floor actually transacted $948,000. So between this and this, the price gap for a road facing and pool facing unit for the highest floor is 5%. Now we look at the second floor versus the second floor of two different facings. The premium is actually 4%. The next comparison we want to do is a road facing with another pool facing unit. In this case is stack 43. For stack 29, just now we already run through that these are the prices for the second floor versus 17th floor. So now we want to compare it to another pool facing unit, which is stack 43. So stack 43, you can see that on the second floor, it is actually priced quite similar to the one on top, which is $927,000. Whereas for the top floor, priced very similarly as well, maybe just a few $1,000s apart, it is $1.003 million. So based on these three data, these three stacks, you can see one thing, and the price gap between the road facing and pool facing is about 5% for the higher floors, and for the lower floors is about 4 to 4.5%. So now if I want to apply it back to Parktown Residences, the premium that we are going to base on averagely should be about 5 to 5.5% based on this calculation. Just now we talked about facing, now we are going to gauge based on the different floor levels. Same thing goes, going to compare between the road facing and pool facing units. For the first part, you're just going to see the road facing units. Actually, from the low floor to the highest floor, the premium is about 6.8%, which works out to be about 0.46%. If I round it up, about 0.5%. Same thing goes for pool facing. You can see that developers did not really price it very differently. From the second floor to 17th floor, the premium is also 0.55%. So based on these two different facings, we can see that on an average for level, it is about 0.5%. So if I want to apply it back to Parktown Residence, right, because the highest floor for Botanic at Bartley is 17th floor, whereas for Parktown Residence, its highest is 12th floor, some is 11th floor on some blocks. We add up the different premiums for the different facing plus the per floor level premium between the lowest floor of a road facing unit versus the highest floor at a pool facing unit is going to be approximately 13%. How I actually calculate this per square foot is when I base it on an average per square foot of about $2,000 per square foot. Not saying this is the launch price, but just making a very quick reference in terms of how much per square foot it is. So today, what does it mean to you? If let's say today you are comparing between a 2-bedroom unit versus another 2-bedroom unit, one is pool facing, the other one is road facing. If you have the price of the road facing already, actually by this calculation, you will be very easily be able to map out the price for the highest floor pool facing unit. Give you an example, if let's say you are looking at a 2-bedroom unit, developers already launched the starting price, which is $1.4 million for a 700 square feet unit. This is the starting price for a 2-bed, 2-bath, for example. Definitely you won't want to go for the lousiest facing with the lowest floor, right? You would, as much as possible, maybe want to try to see how much you can afford and whether you can get the highest floor pool facing unit. How do you want to make the calculation? Based on 700 square feet, 1.4 million, this is 2,000 per square foot, right? If I want to work out and know what is the pool facing units, it essentially means that I have to add another 15%, which in this case is 2,260 per square foot. So this will mean that for this 15%, a highest floor unit pool view would be around $186,000. So if you work it out way backwards, it will be 1.586 million for a 2-bedroom unit. So you see, when I map it out like that, is it already very clear for you? And is it already something that you can sort of be able to plan forward yourself together with you and your agents, for example? Because developers usually don't give out the price until launch day. And the last thing we want to do is we go into a launch day not being prepared. Then that is where we might get caught off guard, be caught overpaying for a unit, or we might miss out on a unit that potentially is undervalued, correct or not? So in this case, I hope that this maybe right now based on filming is about 15 minutes now. This first 15 minutes actually is one of the most important parts in the entire video, because this actually will allow you to be able to predict what is the prices that you are going to expect even before you go for launch. Of course, if based on this calculation, you're still not very sure, do reach out to me and my contact method below, and I'll be very happy to assist you and give you clarity on what are the units, what are the prices that you'll be expecting on launch day. Today's analysis is going to be something very different, because instead of always going from 1-bedroom upwards, today is going from 5-bedroom downwards. Because by doing this, during my research, I found that it was easier for me to be able to roughly gauge what is the price for the different unit types. And let's say based on this biggest unit type, it is very close to the next smallest unit type. I think it will also be easier for you to know what are the prices for you to avoid during launch day. What is the kind of unit types that is worth for you to essentially upgrade. Okay, so let us look at the big units first, which in this case is the 5-bedroom. 5-bedroom was a bit tricky because when I was working out the prices, I was thinking, wow, if let's say it is based on what is happening on the ground and people were to gauge based on 2,400 per square foot, I work out the price. I mean, it is something that is quite high, because Take for example, in Ori, top floor unit, it is sold at almost a 2,300 per square foot price. And here in Tampines, if we base on 2,400, wow, it is going to be $4 million. So in this sense, I personally, using my own thinking to think, not really possible for Parktown Residences yet, which is why for this price matrix, I put it based on 2,300 per square foot. Why I actually work out to 1,900 per square foot is because, disclaimer, it's not that it is going to launch at 1,900 per square foot. It's because, just like my calculation earlier, I base it on the lowest floor, the not so good facing. I base on $2,300 per square foot. I work backwards minus 15%. The price works out to be 1,950 per square foot, thereabout. Okay, for quick reference, calculation is 1,900 per square foot, which is the reason why in this price matrix you will saw this price prediction. So based on these 5 bedrooms, it is very clear that for Parktown Residences, which is going to be the more premium side, because usually developers will put the big units on the better facing places. In this sense, for Parktown Residences, between Park West to Park East command a premium, in my personal opinion, because of the frontage, the distance block to block. For Park East, it is much wider. Secondly, is also for Stack 100, for example, it has one of the widest block to block distance as compared to Stack 67, which is another 5 bedroom. Out of these two stacks, I would feel that Stack 100 will be the one that has the highest per square foot as compared to Stack 67, which means that estimated price is 1,950 to 2,000 per square foot. It will likely start from here, Stack 67. Will not touch on too much on the layout. I realized that for harmonized project nowadays, they don't really like to give private lift. So for this 5 bedroom, I think it is quite a nice floor plan. It comes with junior master. It has a wide frontage living room. The kitchen and bathrooms all have their individual window except for bathroom 3. But otherwise, nothing much to complain about. Next, we want to look at is 4 bedroom. So for 4 bedrooms, it is categorized under 3 different unit types. First is the 4 bedroom, second 4 bedroom premium, then the 4 plus study. You can see from the floor plans here, there are 4 main unit types. All size is quite similar. Bedrooms, there is no big difference in terms of the floor plan. The only floor plan that is different from the others is actually the type D4, whereby over here you have a little walk-in closet. But more importantly, we will look at the price matrix. So this is the price that I have worked out based on 1,335 square feet all the way to D4 1,356 square feet. If I do a comparison over here, the price matrix is actually gauged by the individual facing of the units. So based on type D1 to D4, the stack that I feel it will be the most affordable, that will start at the lowest price, will be Stack 40, because Stack 40 is the only one that faces HDB, outside facing. So when we talk about the cheapest per square foot starting from, will be Stack 40. Then followed by Park West facing, then Park East facing. If you are not so sure where I'm talking about, do take some time to pause this video and refer to your site plan, and you will be able to see why I actually say so. Now, I want to work out based on the price per square foot, which will roughly give you a very clear indicator on what is the launch price going to be like for a 4 bedroom. Using the same price matrix as I used for the 5 bedroom, just now remember the pricing per square foot starts from 2,300 for the higher end units. And these units will most likely be on Stack 85 and Stack 103. So for 2,000 per square foot, you'll highly likely expect it to be on Stack 40. So if, let's say, working backwards, the same, based on 2003, we minus about 15%, that works out to be about $2,000 per square foot. The starting price for Stack 40 type D2 will start from roughly about $2.67 million, whereas for the Park East facing, roughly be at about 2,200 to 2,300 per square foot. So the overall quantum for a non-premium unit will be 2.67 million, all the way up to 3.07 million for the higher floor units. and also more premium facing. Next, we are going to talk about the 4-bedroom units. It is categorized under two main unit types, which is DP1 and DP2. Same like the previous floor plans which I've explained earlier, the main difference between these two floor plans is actually the foyer area. Based on these two floor plans, going to very quickly run through the price matrix as well. Just remember that we are going to use 2,300 per square foot. Work backwards 15%, it will be 2,000 per square foot. If we base on these two units side by side, my personal take is the west wing units are going to be the ones that are priced lower as compared to the east wing units. So for high floor units, east wing with the widest distance block to block, you will be able to expect about $3.4 million based on 2,300 per square foot for a high floor unit. Some of you might be wondering what is the main difference between these two unit types. The left is actually the smaller unit, the right is actually the 4-bedroom premium. Where is the 161 square feet from? Probably is that extra toilet and also the foyer area. Based on just now's cheapest per square foot price matrix, which is $2,000 per square foot, 161 multiplied by 2,000 per square foot. Actually, right, the premium you have to top up is $322,000 just for this additional bathroom. Just now I compared between the smaller 4-bedroom to the bigger 4-bedroom premium. Now I also want to show you between the 4-bedroom premium versus the 5-bedroom. You can see from this floor plan, a main difference between the 4-bedroom premium versus the 5-bedroom is actually the 5th bedroom right here. So $388,000 is a very significant top up. But this actually depends very heavily on launch day, the prices you get by the time it reaches your queue. Why do I say that? Is because, right, if I put the price matrix between the 4-bedroom premium versus the 5-bedroom side by side, you'll be able to notice one thing. If let's say I start from per square foot of $2,000 per square foot, right, that would mean that my 4-bedroom premium is about 2.7 to 2.99 million, which is close to the $3 million mark. Actually, right, if you take a look at the units available for 5-bedroom premium, this is something that you should consider also during launch day. For 4-bedroom premium, go and assess based on the available units and weigh it against the remaining 5-bedroom units. Are there 5-bedroom units that are actually a little bit lower in terms of floor? Because, right, if it is lower in terms of floor level, then the price gap between a 4-bedroom and 5 premium, the top up is very minimal, but you get an additional 5th bedroom. So just to summarize, for the 4-bedroom choices, my top preference will be the type D4, which is the smallest 4-bedroom, but the 1356 layout, because, right, the walk-in wardrobe in the master bedroom is something that even the 4-bedroom does not have. My second preference will be the type D2, which is Tech 85 1335 square feet, because of its facing. Then my last preference will be, let's say the price between the 4-bedroom premium and 5-bedroom premium is very narrow, then just go opt for the 5-bedroom premium first. So 3-bedroom categorized under a lot of unit types over here, but in short, between C1 to C5, C1 is the only one that doesn't have any windows in the kitchen and in the bathroom. And also, it is the only 3-bedroom that is dumbbell layout. Okay, so between C1 to C5, I will feel that C1 is definitely going to be one of the most affordable choices because of its smaller square footage as compared to the rest. The second is also because of the functionality in terms of the layout. So between C2 to C5, it is what I actually prefer more, which is more towards the traditional layout, whereby all the rooms are tucked in one side, all the bathroom, kitchen, all comes with their individual windows. Next, we just want to look at, based on the 3 bedrooms, right, most of it is still facing HDBs. You can see over here, only one stack is facing inside. So based on this C1 to C5, which is actually going to be the most affordable one, like what I did in the previous price matrix, we are going to work backwards in terms of prices. What I mentioned right now, if you are looking to buy into a new launch project, it's really quite impossible for you to look solely based on per square foot. Okay, if you look at per square foot, you probably will be a bit shocked because this per square foot maybe is something you can find in the RCR. But if you look at the overall quantum, it might not be. I actually listened to what is happening on the ground. They told us to tell you that the starting price will be $2,400 per square foot. So based on $2,400 per square foot, if I work out the starting price for a 3-bedroom compact is 2.22 million. I'm not forgetting because why? Based on the whole from type C1 to C5, you can see that this, even though it's a pre-harmonized project, developers actually chose to build the 3-bedroom compact in a bigger size. What do I mean by bigger size? From Ori's example, their regular 3 bedrooms are 850 square feet. For Lentor Mansion, just now I run through, is 786 square feet. So if I see based on a project that has already been harmonized at 926 square feet, means this unit is actually much bigger in terms of size, which also explains why the overall quantum might be a bit bigger. Take for example, if I base it on $2,400 starting price. 2,400 starting price is actually what has been quoted to us. Okay, I work out the prices, work backwards. The average price is about 2.22 million. When they say starting price 2,004, right, then I have to work out 100 per square foot higher, which is why over here in the price matrix, I put in 2,500 per square foot, which is $2.36 million. For me, if I feel, or a buyer standpoint, at $2.3 million, I buy a 3-bedroom compact. I might have some resistance, which is why I kept my price matrix at 2,500 per square foot and work backwards instead. Work backwards is 2,005, then again, I minus another 15%, which has been explained to you earlier on in this video. Okay, based on minus 15%, the starting price is 2,150 per square foot, which means that the starting price for a 3-bedroom starts from about $2 million. If I base on this price matrix and gauge the different facings, how they are going to be priced like, I would think that all these HDB facing units, right, generally have the chance to launch at between $2,150 to $2,200 per square foot. The only one that will be the premium facing will be Stack 59. If I work plus 15%, it would essentially mean that potentially Stack 59 on the highest floor can be 2,400 per square foot, which is about $2.2 to $2.3 million. So just to summarize, what is my top choice for 3 bedrooms? Because for 3 bedrooms, there is so many units to choose from. There is so many that is facing the HDB view. That's why my top choice will be Type C2, which is the traditional layout, Stack 59, which is facing inside of the development, followed by Type C2 to C5, any facing, because they're all facing HDB. And my last choice would be Type C1, the dumbbell layout, because this is a dumbbell 3-bedroom, which I feel there are still people that might not have a preference for it. And also the kitchen and toilet does not have their own windows. Moving on to the 3-bedroom premium. So for 3-bedroom premium, there are more unit types and floor plans here. Based on my slides, you can see that there are actually 7 different unit types mainly. Okay, the main difference between the 3-bedroom premium from type CP1 all the way to type CP7 is actually the difference in the foyer area. Some is longer, some is shorter, and mostly all of them actually have very different facings, which I have labeled. Let us go very quickly based on the price matrix as well. Again, I'm quoting based on 2,400 per square foot. Based on the different sizes, I've worked out the price matrix. If you want a very quick reference, you can take a look at the different facings. Here, based on the different facings, let us work through what are the prices that is likely going to be commanding for the 3-bedroom premium. From type CP1 to type CP7, the most affordable facing would be the genset facing, which is Stack 90. For me, I feel that the pricing will be the lowest here. Subsequently, the next facing will be facing towards the HDBs, then the inner walkway area, followed by the Park West pool area, and then lastly, the most premium will be the Park East pool area. So based on this, same thing goes, going to use $2,400 per square foot to work backwards based on the indicative prices for the 3-bedroom premium. So for the Park East facing, highest floor, pool facing, if I take this example, which is Stack 112. Stack 112 is the widest distance to the opposite block located in the Park East area. This is likely going to be the one that is the highest price, which maybe is about 2,400 per square foot. And then the one that is going to be most affordable will be the one that is at the Genset area. Work backwards minus 15%, 2,050 per square foot, which means that the Genset 3-bedroom, right, Stack 90 will likely start from $2.2 million, and the highest price 3-bedroom premium will work out to be about 2.55 to 2.58 million. If I were to summarize in terms of the 3-bedroom premium, here are a few things that I will do, which is a bit different from what I run through earlier. For 3-bedroom premium, because there is so many different kinds of facings, so if you're actually somebody who wants to be able to map out the estimated price during launch day, right, then here is how it goes. Usually developers will give you the starting from price for the 3 bedrooms as well. What you can do is, based on the starting from price, mark up at least 5%, because the starting price will usually be the cheapest price based on the most lousier facing, for example. So based on the lousier facing, add another 5% to the purchase price. This will be the price for the pool facing unit. Okay, so if the price that during launch day is something that is above the 5% based on what you have worked out, then my thinking is just go for the road facing units. If let's say based on the 5% that the developer has given a guide price for you, during launch day you measure it against your calculation, the premium to go for a pool facing, for example, is less than 5%, then please go ahead, choose the pool facing units. This, although might not be 100% correct, but I would say that it's definitely more or less 80 to 90% very accurate and can give you clarity on how you can plan forward for your 3-bedroom purchase. We have talked about all the big units analysis. Now we want to focus on the small units analysis, which is why I sectioned this video to the later half, because if today you're looking for a small unit for investment, for rental, then this part is going to be especially important for you as I dive into the rental yield, the ROI, and what are the units that you can focus on, be it today you're looking for 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom. First, let us look at the 1-bedroom plus study. For 1 plus study, there are actually quite a lot of floor plans, 4 different floor plans that as seen here. So I'm just going to take one main unit type, which is AS1, 506 square feet, field facing, some is inner facing, whereas the rest is facing HDBs. Using the same price matrix, going to try to work out what is the price like. Earlier on the 3 bedrooms, the starting price is about 2,400 per square foot, which means that we might, it's not confirmed, expect a higher per square foot because 1 plus study is actually smaller in terms of size. So if I work out based on 2,400 per square foot, I add another 200 per square foot upwards, and I minus another 15% downwards. The pricing for 1 plus study from HDB facing should start from about $1.1 million plus minus all the way up to 1.2. Not so sure whether they will go to 1.3 million or not, but this will be the rough gauge in terms of prices. Based on the prices which I've touched on earlier, I always like to show what is the resale project surrounding be performing like. In this case, the most similar project that is similar to Parktown Residences is actually Bedok Residences. So for their 1 plus study, actually you can see that they commanded about 1.2 million. I think highest was about 1.3 million, which is not added here. So about 1.1 to 1.2 million is already accepted in the resale market. And based on the floor plans, you can see that it's actually pretty similar, except Parktown is going to be much newer in this context. Besides the prices, I think another thing that we want to look at is rental yield, because like what I mentioned, for Parktown Residences, the 2 main facings for the 1 plus study is the HDB facing, which is the road facing, and also the inner facing, which is towards the walkway area or the pool area. So based on Bedok Residences, I've done the same. because Bedok Residences, the way the developer plan out the units is pretty similar to what Parktown Residences in a sense where the 1 plus study categorized under 2 main facing. One is the inner facing, the other is road facing. So you can see from here that even though inner facing, which rightfully should be more quiet, is $3,400, but the road facing, the prices also didn't differ so much in terms of rental. So from this example, we can see one thing. Whether it is an inner facing or road facing, if you are concerned on whether next time if rental will be significantly lower if you buy road facing, actually from this case study, we can see that it will not likely happen. And the next thing is based on the rental yield, based on the entry price you are getting today, what is the potential rental yield you will be getting? So I'm going to use an average of $3,400 per month and calculate it for you. So just now remember I used a price matrix of different prices. I'm going to use one is 2,200 per square foot and next is 2,500 per square foot. Now assuming monthly rental is about $3,500, which is actually about $100 on top higher than Bedok Residences because rightfully Parktown is going to be brand new, right? So based on $3,500 with $2,200 per square foot purchase price, it works out to be about $1.113 million. And this means their rental yield is about 3.8%. If I base it on a higher floor, maybe a better facing unit, which is about 2,500 per square foot, your purchase price will work out to be 1.265 million. And if we were to collect the same amount of rental, this means that your rental yield is 3.3%. So now if I compare this from the lower floor to the highest floor of different purchase price, we can see very clearly what is the strategy for you if you want to buy into Parktown Residences 1 bedroom. And the strategy is to just buy as low as possible because a better facing or a higher floor does not usually guarantee that you have a higher rental yield, although it can rent out much easier. However, for Parktown Residence, one thing you have to take note is because the 1 bedroom is actually much bigger in terms of size. So right, this size is very similar to the size of a 2 bed 1 bath in Parktown Residence. So during launch, you also have to take note. If let's say you are entering something about 2,100 per square foot, this won't be an issue for you. But if right until your queue number, you see that prices have slowly inched up to 2.4 to 2.6 per square foot, right? Then this is where you have to be a bit mindful and ask your agent, or you can ask me, to let you know what is the price for a 2 bed 1 bath. If let's say you have units at 2 bed 1 bath, lowest floor, maybe the facing is not so good, still just take it. Because with a 2 bed 1 bath, it means that you are essentially paying for almost the same price, but you get a proper size bedroom. Lastly, let us talk about the 2 bedrooms. So 2 bedrooms, there are quite a few unit types. First is 2 bed 1 bath, second is 2 bed 2 bath, and last is 2 plus study. Let us look at the 2 bed 1 bath over here. In terms of floor plan between type B1 to type B3, actually there is no big difference. The main difference between the 2 bed 1 bath is actually the facing. So you can see that there are 3 different facings for this unit type, and that is the HDB facing, the inner walkway facing, as well as the west pool facing. Quite easy for us to rank in terms of facing what is the prices going to be like. Type B1, Type B3 HDB facing units are definitely going to be priced one of the lowest in the entire development, followed by West Pool facing, which you will be expecting a premium, which can go all the way up to 2,400 to 2,500 per square foot. Let us move on to the 2 bedroom premium. So the difference between the 2 bed 1 bath versus the 2 bedroom premium actually is the additional 1 toilet. So for the 2 bedroom premium from type B1 all the way to type B4 is pretty standard. A dumbbell 2 bedroom unit with tucked-in kitchen. The last unit type 2 bedroom premium, the biggest one, type 5. This is 721 square feet. This is the only 2 bedroom premium that comes with a traditional layout, which means that the bedrooms are tucked to one side. For me, between the 2 bedroom dumbbell versus the 2 bed traditional, I actually always have a biasness towards the traditional floor plan because I will have more privacy, unlike the dumbbell layout whereby people stand here, they can see all corners of your house already. But then if today you are looking as an investment point of view, this is going to be very, very different from my biasness. So let us work out based on the price matrix for the smallest 2-bedroom premium first. Likewise, I work out based on 2,400 per square foot. The price for a 2-bed 2-bath is about 1.627 million. If based on a small unit, maybe potentially it can go 200 per square foot higher, which is why I work out to 1.76 million. I feel that it might not happen, okay? It might not happen, which is why I work backwards to 2,250 per square foot. Overall price works out to be about 1.525 million. So essentially the average price for a 2-bedroom premium should start from about 1.525 million all the way to about 1.65 million dollars. As for the 2-bedroom premium, because of its size, right, of 721 square feet, the starting price at 2,150 per square foot is 1.55 million. Of course, if let's say you got 2-bedroom premium, you have a choice to choose from between the dumbbell and traditional, both is same price, then go for the traditional layout. Because for the traditional layout, you have much lesser units, much lesser supply, which means that next time when resale buyers come to view your place, they will remember your house. And because it is so limited, buyers will prefer your unit first. Okay, but that is provided that the price is 1.55 million. If let's say it stretches all the way up to 2,400 to 2,500 per square foot, this price at 1.7 all the way to 1.8 million is a bit too high. Too high in the sense whereby if I compare this to a 2-bedroom premium plus study, the price gap between this and the one with an additional study is very, very close. So for me, when I look at a 2-bedroom premium plus study, I get an additional study area. My price is very, very similar to the 2-bedroom premium 721 square feet. That's why I will still prefer the smallest 2-bedroom, which is the 689 square feet. I will skip the 2-bedroom premium only if I got the choice of 2-bedroom premium plus study, because the starting price at 2,150 per square foot starts from 1.6 all the way to 1.8 million dollars. So this price, I would rather take a 2-bedroom plus study as compared to a 2-bedroom premium. Okay, but if let's say during launch you also might not have the queue number, then you also have to take note of the next thing. Whenever we want to buy a unit, especially if you belong to the queue that is quite behind, must always factor in what is the next unit type's starting price. For 2-bedroom plus study, I feel that based on the price matrix, even when you stretch all the way to 1.9 million dollars, right, it is still very far away from the starting price from the 3-bedroom compact. So with that being said, I feel that a 2-bedroom plus study, yes, maybe you might enter at a price that is higher, but it still has a very wide gap as compared to a 3-bedroom compact, which also means that actually it is a good thing because this provides you runway to grow. The last thing you want to do is to buy a smaller unit that is very close to a big unit's prices, because when that happens, then the runway for growth might be very limited. In this case, it is actually the opposite, which is why I feel that based on the 2 bedrooms, the 2 plus study is also something that you can consider. So just now we talked about pricing. Of course, today 2 bedrooms, there is a chance whereby those of you viewing right now are very highly looking for rental perspective. So I'm just going to run through a little bit more in depth, and it is focused into 3 different areas, which is in terms of rental perspective, 2-bed 1-bath versus 2-bed 2-bath, which one will command a higher rental? Is low floor or high floor better? Is road facing or inner facing better in terms of rental? So these are the few things that I want to compare with you. Would you take a moment to join my community if let's say you want to be very up to date with the latest news on property, as well as some bounce out units that sometimes developers will give out during real time? These are the kind of information that most likely you will not be able to get online. Okay, so now when I compare between 2-bed 1-bath versus 2-bed 2-bath, I used a nearby project which is Treasure at Tampines to do this comparison. Why I didn't use Bedok Residences as comparison? Because Bedok Residences didn't have any 2-bed 1-bath, which is why I got no choice. I had to use another project even though it is not integrated to show you how the rental is like. I would say that the rental demographics the tenant demographics is quite similar. So you can see from here that for rental for 2 bed 1 bath, the average for this is about $3,200 per month. As for the 2 bed 2 bath, the average is about $3,300 per month. So from this case study, we can already see one thing. Today, if you are looking for 2 bed 2 bath, you are hoping to get a much higher rental. Actually, it is not very likely that this will happen, especially if you are buying into Tampines. The next thing we want to see is also referencing it back to Bedok Residences. This rental for Treasure at Tampines is definitely going to be much lower because it is a non-integrated development. When we are talking about integrated development, this will mean that the rental we naturally most likely be able to command is about 20 to 25% higher. In this case, you can see that for the 2 bed 2 bath on average is about $4,200 all the way to $4,500 per month. It means that if you are looking to rent out Parktown Residences as your rental unit, the average 2 bed 2 bath should be about $4,300 per month. And using this same example, I'm just going to plug in the entry price which you will be potentially also entering for Parktown Residences. So this is wrong, this is 2 bed 2 bath. So remember just now, if based on $4,200 per month, this is the price for a 2 bed 1 bath estimated. As for a 2 bed 2 bath, the estimated rental should be $4,300, slightly a bit higher than Bedok Residences because it is brand new. So if we work out based on the rental yield, supposingly your entry price is one of the lowest per square foot, your entry price is 1.33 million, which means that your rental yield is about 3.8%. Whereas for 2 bed 2 bath, entry price at the lowest is about 1.525 million, your rental yield is about 3.4%. So the key takeaway we can see from here is if you want to focus on a higher rental yield only, then just go for the 2 bed 1 bath, because a 2 bed 2 bath due to a higher entry price might not necessarily help you to command a much higher rental yield. Then the next thing some of you might be wondering is, if Parktown Residences, should I just focus on getting a low floor unit or high floor unit? If let's say I want to get a much higher rental, which is the unit that I should get? So over here, I actually also plug in some data from Bedok Residences. This is 2 units from the same stacks, but due to PDPA, I cannot show the exact unit. So for these 2 units, one is on the 5th floor, one is on the 14th floor. You can see the rental that they commanded for the much higher floor is actually significantly higher. Okay, so right now, if I were to use this same amount of rental, put it back to Parktown Residence, what is it going to be like? Based on Parktown Residence, for the monthly rental of 3,800, which by right is for the lower floor unit, based on the entry price of the lowest floor unit as well, which is 1.525 million, your rental yield will work out to be about 3%. Okay, so remember just now, this higher floor actually command a much higher rental. So if I use this same calculation, work it backwards, based on a much higher per square foot to buy a higher floor unit, the entry price is 1.66 million. If I calculate and use the same rental of $4,300 per month, your rental yield will work out to be 3.1%. So based on this example, we can see one thing. Even though higher floor might command a much higher rental, but because your entry price is going to be much higher, it essentially also means that the rental yield that you are going to work out is going to be pretty similar, whether it is high floor or a low floor. But in terms of rental market, right, when we are looking at demand, of course, a high floor unit will definitely be able to rent out much easier than a low floor unit. Now we also want to know in terms of ROI, because some of you might just want to buy, rent out for a short period of time, and want to swap it out for a bigger property after 3 years, right? So in this sense, how is it going to help you in terms of profits? Is low floor going to be better or high floor? So using the same example, which is Treasure at Tampines, Treasure at Tampines is the only development which I can find very relevant data, because Bedok Residences is a super old development, so their data is quite their dates actually range very differently. So I can't actually tell for you. That's why I use Treasure at Tampines. These 3 units that I'll be using is actually on the same stack, but due to PDPA, I actually cannot show you. This is on the 4th floor, this is on the 8th floor, this is on the 10th floor. These 3 transactions actually belong to the same stack. Their selling time and purchase date is quite about the same. But you can see that the higher the floor, the lesser the profits. Can see? The 4th floor actually earned $276,000, whereas for the 10th floor, $212,000. But in terms of profits, although the lower floor actually earn more money, but in terms of ROI, is it the same? So because lower floors tend to have a lower purchase price, so that's why I want to put out the ROI to show you what is it actually like. So ROI is calculated based on the 25% down payment that you have based on your purchase price over your profits. Okay, so for the low floor unit, you can see that it has a higher ROI of 116%, whereas as compared to the higher floor, which is just 86%. So with all the case studies already done for you, I just want to recap and apply all that we have seen, all that we have taken and absorbed from the case studies, apply it back to the 2-bedroom top choices. If let's say for example, you can find a 2-bed 1-bath with the lowest entry price that is very close to the 1-bedroom pricing, please just go for it, okay? Otherwise, if not, then try to aim as low price as possible, and you can also focus on the 2-bed 2-bath. But take note that if the price gets too close to the 2-bedroom premium plus study, then just go for the 2-bedroom premium plus study as your investment choice. For homestay choice, I would think that I would choose the 2 plus study only because even though it is going to be a little bit more pricier in terms of entry price, but in terms of homestay component, if let's say you want to sell in the future, there is a huge price gap between the 2 plus study versus the 3-bedroom compact. This could mean that you have a longer runway for growth. Okay, so for those of you who have not liked and subscribed to my channel, please do so that you can actually be notified by my latest content. The Parktown Residence preview date is on 8th of February 2025. Launch date is actually on 22nd February 2025. I've covered so many things which I hope that has benefited you so far. I hope that this can give you clarity in terms of how you can approach balloting for Parktown Residences, especially because this development has so many different kind of facings with potentially many different kind of complicated price mapping that you have to done, preparation you have to done even before you approach the day of launch. The last thing we want to do is be very nervous during snake queue and not have clarity in terms of what is the price that we can go for. I feel that this is not the kind of thing that you should do. If you still have doubts, you do not know how to move forward, do reach out to me at my contact method below. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next one.